This is Skyrush at Hersheypark. Skyrush is widely considered one of the most intense roller coasters ever created. The amount of force and unrelenting pacing of this ride makes it stand out as a contender for one of the best roller coasters in the world, and many enthusiasts have it as their #1 coaster, but others can't stand the ride. Does Skyrush live up to the hype, or does it fall short? We can't talk about Skyrush without mentioning its statistics. Skyrush opened in 2012 and was manufactured by Intamin. It reaches a max height of 200 feet, which means that it is a hypercoaster. During the ride, you reach a max speed of 75 miles per hour and traverse 3,900 feet of steel track. Because Skyrush is a hypercoaster, you might expect it to be the traditional out-and-back airtime-filled layout that's popular with B&M hypers. Although it is still airtime-filled, Skyrush has an unorthodox figure 8 layout. The layout focuses equally both on intense forces as well as extreme airtime. Let's talk about this layout. You start this coaster with a speedy cable lift. This lift launches you up into the nearly vertical 85-degree first drop. This drop gives some insane airtime as you ride down it and is one of the highlights of this ride. I wouldn't be surprised at all if someone told me that this was their #1 first drop on any coaster in the world. This drop transitions into a ludicrously forceful right-hand turn, which caused me to lightly gray out. While you're recovering from that turn, you are thrust into the first of Skyrush's extremely forceful airtime moments. You are violently thrown up and out of your seat, especially if you're riding in the back row, which is the best row on this ride. That airtime takes you into a sweeping left-hand turn, which is followed by another wild airtime moment. That airtime hill turns into a right-hand turn, which transitions into an element known as a stangle dive. The stangle dive is followed by a few more turns, one of which switches directions halfway through an airtime hill, which causes a really fun-feeling airtime moment. The ride ends with one final airtime hill and a bank turn into the brakes. All of these elements work together to create one of the most intense and airtime-filled coasters out there. The ride is pure insanity from start to finish, taking every element with a ton of speed because it stays close to the ground. Unfortunately, this intensity and compactness leads to one of Skyrush's biggest downfalls. It is extremely short. The ride clocks in with only 1 minute and 3 seconds of ride time. This short length causes the ride to feel somewhat incomplete, and the final airtime hill and turn really don't feel like a finale. But Skyrush has a bigger issue though. An issue big enough that it causes some people to downright hate this ride. The restraints kinda suck. At a glance, the lap bars that Skyrush uses may not seem to be too bad. I mean, they're lap bars. How bad can they be? According to some people, really bad. Unlike the very comfortable and popular clamshell restraints found on B&M hypers, the restraints on Skyrush don't curve. Rather, they're a solid flat piece, meaning that they will push into your thighs. While I had no problem with these restraints, some people say that they completely ruin the ride. These restraints are where Skyrush's nickname, Thigh Crush, comes from. As I said, I had no problem with these restraints on the 2 rides that I got on Skyrush when I was at Hersheypark, but it is something to watch out for. That being said, Skyrush at Hersheypark is still one of the most intense roller coasters I have ever experienced. The pacing through the compact layout mixed with the wild forces of every one of this coaster's elements makes it one of the strongest rides at Hersheypark, and it is easily a 9 out of 10. Skyrush's restraints may have a bad reputation, but something that has a worse reputation is the Ninja at Six Flags St. Louis. I have a full video about that right here.